historically, way back, people would stick in cells and just loose medium. And that's okay. But the problem with the poinsettia is a coarse root. And that coarse root, if you try to lift that, that open soil cell, the soil will fall away. So poinsettias are primarily stuck in some form of stabilized medium. And I encourage you to do that. The other method is direct stick. So we'll kind of go through the different processes of going through the media, different mediums, and get the ball rolling. So it's important to get your cuttings stuck ASAP if they are fresh. If you, as James was talking about, if they come in warm at all, or if they come in wilty, if they look wilty and they're rubbery, then I would encourage you to hydrate them and cool them. And the idea is what you want is you want a firm, crisp cutting. You want to be able to, if you break that cutting, it's going to snap. It's not going to bend and just go mwah. So if you have that, you get it under mist ASAP. If not, you cool it and prepare it, but with moisture and cold. 50 degrees, as James said out. Always apply rooting hormone. Poinsettias definitely even out the rooting across the cuttings with some hormone applications. In the beginning stages, you want to keep the mist levels high. They should start forming callus and roots in about 5 to 7 days, and we'll get into that a little bit more. In a loose fill or direct stick, make sure that you have a hole that isn't too big for the cutting to slide. You need the contact with the soil when you stick the cutting. And we'll get into that here in a sec. All right, so I'm going to talk about rooting hormones. So this is just a little picture of some work that we were doing, research we did many years ago, developing a callusing strategy and a rooting strategy. These are pretty high rates of hormones, and you can see that poinsettias seem to respond very nicely to these higher rates. I'm not necessarily advocating you have to go to the high rates, but I'm pointing out that you can. But I would go at 1,000 in a treat the base of the cutting type scenario. You see a lot of guys going into treatment regimes where they go at a very low rate and they'll go over top and they'll go over the stuck cutting. And you know, there's a lot of pros and cons with that. One, it's a very easy application method. It's safe. It's easy with the REI because you're already stuck the cuttings, etc. There's part of it. But you're going in at such a low rate that I don't know that you're getting the kind of efficacy that you can if you can figure out a way to treat the base of the cutting. Now, another method that we've seen done is having the hormone either incorporated into the medium that you're purchasing or sticking it into, or you treat that medium prior to stick as well. And then you can go in with the higher rate. But the bottom line is poinsettias respond beautifully to rooting hormones. It helps to even out the rooting across all the cuttings. That's the most important aspect. So even if you do go with a post-application spray of 250, 300 parts per million of IBA, you still get some benefit, but I don't think you get as much benefit as if you actually can get the base of the cutting. But that's a cost benefit conversation you have to have. Is it worth the cost of the labor to dip that cutting? There's a variety of different rooting hormones available out there, and I think there's good choices. I personally, I did a lot of work with Dip and Grow. I liked the liquid form. I liked that it's an IBA NAA blend. I felt I could keep my sanitation levels high by using a liquid. I didn't like the messiness of the powder. So used it either as a dip or diluted it and literally sprayed it carefully with a low pressure hand sprayer, small pump sprayer onto the base of the cuttings. The higher rates that we're talking about for the base of the cutting, it's very important that you don't get them up the stem because that will cause corking on the stem. Callus will form up the stem and it will cause some serious leaf distortion at the top. So if you're going to expose the higher parts of the plant to any of these hormones, you have to do it at a very low rate.
Gary, I'd just add that on the IBA applications over the top, I would trial that before actually using it in any large fashion in your facility. I've seen some pretty interesting malformations or, you know, twisting and turning of leaves and stems at higher rates, especially on poinsettias. So
I have seen a lot of problems with that technique. I'm not an advocate. I'm with you. It can work, but Jason or James got something to say. Give it up, buddy.
Yeah, I'm one of those people that used to do that all the time. You get to trial it for a reason because you get used to the curl and deformation. So you know what the expected response will be, and also the resting time of when that leaf will start to come out. That's why we highly recommend, if you're going to do that, to trial it so you don't freak out the first time and use as low a rate as possible.
Yep.
and that'd be in that 75 to 100, 150 rate maybe to start with.
Yeah. But again, I would challenge you, if you're even contemplating doing that, if you're going to go through the experiment of trying that out, then do me a favor. Stick some cuttings in 1500, stick them at the same time, and see who wins the game. And you decide, is it better, more even, faster rooting, or is it a lower cost of application? I can't answer that math equation. You have to do your own math. You're the grower.
Every situation is different.